Hello and good afternoon. Welcome back to Michelle Spills the Beans. What does that mean? Well, it means I spill the beans on all kinds of information that will be helpful to you based on my experience, my education, my journey. And I just feel like a lot of people are, God, they're just struggling. They're just struggling with insecurities, lack of confidence in certain areas. And I simply want to help. I simply want to put out there action items and real life advice that will work, that can change your mindset for the better, and help you move forward out of a rut. And so, hey, if you like what I have to say, if areas that I speak about help you, like it and subscribe, because I am going to continue to put out some important stuff. And so I'm grateful to have you. And today the topic is you're never too old to change your career, or you're never too old to get interviewed and get hired. All of that is such BS. I have met so many people that are stuck in one job and they don't even like the job. And they say, but I'm 63. Nobody will hire me. Well, first of all, if you say that, your words have power. So if you're saying that over yourself, you likely won't get hired. So the first thing is you've got to believe that you have talents and gifts and purpose that people will hire you for. The way that, thinking of it that way, that's a very negative way to do things. So first you need to speak differently and believe differently. That's the first thing. We're talking about that you're not too old to make changes in your life. And I know that our society and culture has always put a negative spin on people who get older. And, it's like, well, they won't hire me because I'm old. Well, what is old? What is it? I mean, what age is that? I don't think there is a true age of that. The great news about getting older and being in the workforce is that you have more experience. We need to stop looking at that part as negative and start seeing it in the positive, in all the ways that you've had experience. So your experience is extremely valuable. The things that you have learned over the years is extremely valuable. You likely have information and knowledge that younger people don't have. So, I mean, if we're living in a culture and society that doesn't want to judge off of what we look like or things of that nature, well, then they shouldn't judge on how old you are either. Things need to be based on your resume and the things that you've learned and have to offer. So I worked in fine jewelry for 10 years, for a very long time. But I learned a lot of valuable information. But I worked with a woman who was, 20 years older than me. And we became friends. And after 10 years, I quit and I went on to another job. And she, when we would catch up, she would say how miserable she was, that she didn't want to stay there. And I said, well, have you looked, for another job? And at this point in time, when I was asking her these questions, I was probably in my mid-30s and she was in her mid-60s. No. Sorry, maybe mid to late 50s. So, and then into her 60s. She's now in her 70s. But so I would ask her, well, why don't you look for something else? And her answer every time was, I'm too old. Nobody will hire me. And I told her, I said, why are you saying that? That's just simply not true. You're not too old. I mean, talk about like taking yourself out of the race. And again, as I mentioned before, if you say those things, you will make those things. You will create that type of an atmosphere that if you think you're too old and nobody will hire you, well, likely that just probably will happen. So you want to take out the negative words, the negative statements, the statements that will not help you. Because what you say, most people know this, what you say is very powerful. And you begin to create the life that you talk about, right? So, and it's also about remembering the things you have confidence in. What are you confident about in yourself, no matter what age you are? In fact, a good exercise would be to write down, for your own benefit, all of the things that you know, that you've learned, that you're educated in, that are valuable to any industry likely, including writing down the characteristics and character that you have. What does integrity mean to you? What does character mean to you? Those things matter. I want to tell you something very, very important that has probably gotten me hired nearly every time I've interviewed, and nearly every time, believe it or not, every time I've asked for a raise, I've always received it. Why is that? Well, when I sit down with my employer or boss, one of the things I always emphasize and talk about with them, and I know that they know it, but I always remind them. What I remind them of is, I'm the most trustworthy person. I will never cheat you. I will never lie to you. I will never steal from you. My word is my bond. If I say I'll do something, I will follow through and get it done. And I just remind them that it's very hard to find people who are actually trustworthy these days. And that's a really sad reality. So if you're trustworthy, if you have character and some morals left, people are willing to hire based on that. And so, those things are priceless. They're priceless. People will pay for those. You almost can't put a dollar amount on those characteristics. And I'll tell you why, because they're missing. They're completely missing. So if people find them, it's like finding a pearl in the middle of the ocean. And so I always reminded my bosses, because I've worked primarily for very rich people and people that give me access to their credit cards to use on their behalf, to buy things. And I have to be trustworthy. I mean, I've been sent down to their banks to pull out cash. And I could have pulled out whatever I wanted and ran away. But I would never do that, because that will ruin my reputation and my character for a long time. And I'd likely go to jail. Remind anybody you interview with and anybody you currently work for, if you're asking for a raise, remind them about the things that nobody else can say about themselves. And remind them about characteristics that are not prevalent anymore. They just can't argue with that. And they will want to keep you based on that. These days, most people, they do it out of desperation. They do it out of they don't have enough workers, and so they just hire a bunch of young people. And the young people today, I'm not going to say completely in general, but for the most part, are very entitled. They act dumb. They act arrogant, and like everything's owed to them, and they have like a victim mentality, and they're not fun to work with. And they're not good workers. They're not hard workers. They don't even know what that is. So somebody would rather hire you, no matter what age you are, if you've got the qualities they're looking for. And if you're still able-bodied, go for it. I had made some notes, but one more before I end. One more little example from my life is when I was leaving the jewelry company and I wanted to leave. I was ready to get out of there. So I began looking around and I thought, I'd make a really good personal assistant. Had I ever gone to school for that? No. Like, again, I have a degree in communication and I have a lot of experience in a lot of different industries. That makes me valuable. But was I a certified personal assistant? No. But I knew I had good qualities to be one. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy finding resolution. I enjoy solutions and being a problem solver and getting things done so somebody else can actually relax and not worry about it. I enjoy that. Not everybody does, but that's okay. So I began to look around for personal assistant jobs. And lo and behold, I find one for a celebrity. This celebrity is very well known. This celebrity is a singer. And the actual ad did not say the celebrity's name, but I decided to apply for it. I immediately got called back within 15 minutes based on my resume alone. Make sure you have a good resume. Make sure you have a good resume. In fact, I'll make a video about what's important in a resume. I can help you with that because that's their first impression. If you're applying online and they ask for a resume, it needs to be like gold. And there's ways to do that, to catch their attention and show off and showcase really important aspects about you that they see right away. So 15 minutes later, I get a call and they want to interview me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I called them back and scheduled my interview. And I noticed actually in their ad that they were looking for a personal assistant between the ages of, I think it was 21 or 25 to 39. I don't think it was past 39. Well, I was 41. I was 41 already. Did that stop me? No, I didn't let it stop me. And there's another little piece of gold for you. Just because it states they only want somebody from this age to this age, take the risk. Can't hurt to try. Never hurts to try. So that's what I did. I applied and got the call back and then got the interview, found out who the celebrity was, met with her, and I was hired immediately. My age didn't matter. It didn't matter. 41, she took the older person. And I was with her for 3 years. I probably would have been with her longer, but she was a little bit tough to work for. But we developed a friendship, and she's a really awesome person. She is. Anyway, so I'm no longer with that person, but the whole point I wanted to make was that she took the oldest person that was interviewing. And when I sat down and interviewed with her, I stressed the importance of my qualities, my character, my trustworthiness, my faithfulness, my loyalty, and that mattered to her. That mattered. Really, I think that was the most significant thing because she knew she was going to have to trust me with money, with her merchandise, with everything. And so the takeaways from this today are, do not let your age get in the way of moving forward. Okay, your age matters because it means you have more experience. You've got to see the positive in these things. Take the risk, even if there's a notation that they have an age bracket. Apply anyway. Have a good resume. If you need a refreshed resume, which most of us do, because most of us haven't looked at ours for 5-10 years, refresh it. Make it really, really nice, fresh, interesting. And you know what? I think I'll do a video about that. But look at your age, especially if you're much older, as a jewel, as something you can take to a potential boss or an interview and say, you know why I'm better for the job? because of my age, because I have the wisdom and the background and the education and the years under my belt for what you need at this job. And I'm able-bodied, I can move, and you'll do well. Have more confidence in your age rather than letting people tell you, oh, you're too old. And I felt bad for that lady I worked with that said, oh, nobody will hire me, I'm too old. And she's still at the same job. And she said that to me 10 years ago. So she's still at the same job because she's fearful and she thinks nobody will hire her. I think it's sad. But they will hire you. You've got to sell yourself. Don't let certain factors hold you back or keep you from making a change in your life. And taking the risk, sometimes there's a lot of reward. So that's my story for today. That's what I wanted to share with you. I wish you a great day, and I'll talk to you on the next one.